Hello all, 6th of June 2017, Dan here from Essex UK, and what I'm going to do is to give you the second part of my how to grow watermelon series. So, what I've got here is variety Sugarbaby. So I've got one in here, excuse me, one in here, I've got one in here, and two in here, one there in the smaller pot, one there and one there. Now, they're growing in a very good quality growing medium, which is important for things like watermelons because they're very hungry plants. And the growing medium consists of good quality compost, and I've also got some horse manure in there as well. So these tubs are actually quite heavy, obviously, because the growing medium is nutritious and it holds water well and that sort of thing. So basically you don't want to be lifting them around too much. So here they are, and you can see what I'm doing. Now, maybe one day I will consider growing them on the floor, in the ground, in this polytunnel, but not this year. And what I wanted to do was grow them in these tubs in order to save space. So you can see what's happening here. Now I've got these, this is some sort of garden mesh if you want to call it that, like you could grow sort of sweet peas and peas up it, that sort of thing, maybe beans. But what I've done is I've simply put them around like this in order to allow the plant to grow up it. If you check out my playlist from a few years ago, I've got a playlist on how to grow watermelons in climates such as the UK, and you will see what I did a couple of years ago, and you will see the crop that came from the methods that I employed. And I'm hoping this year the same thing is going to happen. So we're starting to get a little bit of good growth going on here. I'm starting to wonder if these are going to be little flowers. Now I'm going to have to obviously pollinate the female flowers, simply because that they need to fertilise in order to allow the corresponding fruit to develop. So Sugarbaby is a very good variety to grow here in the UK because it develops quickly, and of course in the UK we don't necessarily have a particularly long summer, certainly compared to other temperate climates and definitely compared to tropical climates. I mean, in certain parts of the world you can probably grow these year round, but not here, at least not without some sort of heating system and lights, etc, etc. So summer is the time to do it, and I set these in the seeds in these windowsill propagators. I got one here. If you check out my video, I believe I set them on the 26th of March. So if you have a look back, you will see the video. But I started them off in the windowsill propagator because, of course, at that time of year, here in the UK, you can still get frosts. It's generally, although it can be, it's generally not that warm outside. So you've got to create a good temperature, a good microclimate for them, and of course they germinate better at higher temperatures, things like watermelons, simply because they're normally grown in warmer climates. You probably, if you go to the supermarket and buy them, you've probably got yours from, you probably came from like sort of Spain or South America or something like that. Although interestingly, I understand that there's a large watermelon industry in Romania, I've been told, because of the fact that they generally get rather warm summers indeed. So they are grown in places that you might not generally consider that they would be grown. So that could be interesting. And apparently, I found it on the internet that somebody actually did grow a crop in this country for one of the major supermarkets. It was either Tesco's or Sainsbury's, I believe. So search out that article on the internet. It's interesting and it is a little bit inspiring. Of course you'd need to select the correct variety for that, and you would need to obviously hope the best for a long and hot summer. But apparently he grew them outside, so we shall see. But I'm choosing to grow them here in the polytunnel because obviously it's warmer in here simply because it heats up in here, and it keeps the rain off, and a nice sort of warm semi-tropical environment, if you want to call it that, can be created in here, which is why I'm choosing to grow them in here. So let's just have another look at the plants. See the nice healthy colour, the nice rich green here, and I'm expecting these to crop probably September, October time. If they crop before, great. If they don't, you know, no problem. And here you go, look, flowers. I think that's a flower there developing. So these are going to grow, and they're going to grow all the way up here, and then what's going to hopefully happen is the crop will come, and I'm going to support them on flower pots like this. So for example, take this for instance, that could then go in there like so, and then the watermelon can sit on top as it grows. That's what I intend to do, and that's what I did a few years ago, and it did indeed work. Now you can see it's not the only melon I've got growing here. I've got the bitter melons here as well, so have a look at those. Starting to really grow up the canes, and we've got some flowers on them here like that, as you could see. So I'm expecting something decent to come of this, and we've got another one here. Bitter melons, of course, a great thing to grow. I've done many videos on that in the past, so I won't be going on about that right now. And of course these are being watered regularly as well. I'm using, generally if possible, water from the water butt, provided we get the rain. And another thing that's important is when you're growing crops like this here in the UK and similar climates, is you mustn't shock them by using water that is too cold. So what I tend to do is leave the watering can sort of in here for a little bit before I use it, let it warm up all day, like, you know, basically so that the water is tepid warm when you put it on, because you don't want to be shocking them. You certainly don't, certainly not early in the season. For example, when I had them growing away indoors in the windowsill propagators, I used warm water, and not scalding hot obviously, but warm water, in order to sort of gently water the plants so that they weren't shocked. So they're things you want to consider basically. And of course, growing things like this in the UK, it is sort of debatable as to whether you're going to get a good crop, but I like to do these things, and I hope if you've got this sort of correct environment to do it in, you may have a go as well. So take care, speak soon, and you can't beat a nice load of melons, can you? All the best.